What's up, my dudes? We got us a special one here today, boys. We got some MX versus ATV Supercross Encore custom track review. Okay, I didn't think there would ever be a day that I would actually say that. But yeah, we got it. So I've been wanting to check out this whole custom track scene on Supercross Encore. If you guys didn't know, they came out with a track editor that's very similar to the Unleashed track editor, if Unleashed on PC track editor, if you know what that's like. Basically, it's the exact same thing, but just for MX vs. ATV Supercross. They came out with this like a month or two ago, and they added the whole like Steam Workshop support, so that's how you get all the custom tracks. It's actually really easy. You just go to Steam Workshop and you type in MX vs. ATV Supercross Encore, and you can find all the tracks on there, and you literally just hit subscribe to it, and then you automatically have the track in the game. So it's actually really handy, a lot easier than doing like a Reflex Central bullshit. You guys know how that is. So yeah, this is the DS19 compound, so Dark Slides 19, right? And he's one of the big dudes that's got the whole, modern day Reflex custom track website, right? The DS19.eu, I think is what it is. So yeah, this is obviously legendary Reflex track maker. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he actually made this track in Reflex and then just remade it inside of the MX vs. ATV Supercross Encore track editor. So that's pretty interesting. Let me make sure I'm going the right way here first. And by the way, I'm on a 250 because I don't have the 450 unlocked yet because I just bought this game for PC. So yeah, this is definitely a cool bring some people back to these like MX versus ATV Alive style, MX vs. ATV Supercross Encore, that whole kind of how MX vs. ATV, holy jump daddy huck fatty. Oh my god, I might actually need the 4 fatty for that one. I don't know, that seemed like one big ass jump. But god, he's got lots of pre-made ruts, lots of pre-made braking bumps. Damn, dog, it's kind of big hossing right here. It's a big hossing track. Okay. Yeah, but what I was saying is, MX vs. ATV Supercross is very similar to MX vs. ATV Alive, and then MX vs. ATV Supercross Encore is kind of like you mixed Alive with MX vs. ATV Supercross, right? It's really bizarre. They're all three basically kind of the same game in a way. They all three have very, very similar customization options, the way the bike feels. Basically, the way I put it is MX vs. ATV Supercross Encore is what MX vs. ATV Supercross was supposed to be, right? Or you could even go as far as to kind of say MX vs. ATV Supercross is what Alive was supposed to be, kind of sort of in a way, because they took the national tracks from Alive and took the Supercross tracks from MX vs. ATV Supercross and put them in the same game. It's kind of like, really? We had to do all that? Come on now, dog. That could have just all been put in one game from the very beginning, and it would have been a pretty good game. I don't know why we had to go through all that, but it is what it is. They definitely have learned their lesson with MX vs. ATV Supercross, or MX vs. ATV All Out. I'm talking about like 7 different games right now. I'm getting a little confused. But they learned their lesson on the content shit with MX vs. ATV All Out. So that's good. But it is interesting coming back to these games for sure, because the physics are definitely kind of like a MX vs. ATV Alive, reflexy, kind of got a little bit of that feeling to it, but it's pretty restrictive in the air, so it's kind of got like positives and negatives to it, and it's pretty interesting. But either way, this is a track review here, so look at all the damn pre-made. And this is the very first custom track I've ever rode on in this game, so I don't really know like the spectrum and the scale of what's actual fun factor, what's boring, what's big jumps, what's little ruts. I don't really know like the spectrum of everything right now. just because this is my very first track review ever in this game. So it'll take me a couple of track reviews to kind of learn what I'm reviewing, you know what I mean? But I might actually make my own custom track for this game. The track editor looks fairly simple to use, doesn't look too complicated. So I got in there and dabbled around with that MX vs. ATV Unleashed track editor on PC, and I actually ended up making like a Mars, literally like red dirt, crazy lighting Mars free ride track on it. I think I actually made a video on that a while back too. It'd be cool to make something kind of like that on this track editor if it's at all possible, because that track editor actually allows you to really change the lighting effects and get some cool shit going on like that, and change the skybox and really change the way the dirt coloration can look. So, and the like sun angle and all that kind of stuff, so you can really do some cool shit with it. But yeah, it's always fun to have a whole new track editor in a motocross game. I don't care what it is. It just really opens up that door for being able to have more content, especially when it's a kind of an unlimited track editor, when it's one of those where you can import custom objects and do all kinds of stuff. It's not just the standard, pre-made piece track editor like what's in the Milestone games. It's actually a full-blown track editor. It definitely takes it to another level when you get these kind of track editors in these games. So I wish they had a track editor like this for Reflex. Why haven't they done this for Reflex yet? What are you doing, MX versus ATV? I mean, I know Reflex has its little, its track editor that they've had forever, but I'm pretty sure you have to make those tracks in Photoshop or some shit, if I'm not mistaken. Like, you can't it doesn't have its own individual, from the developer application track editor for Reflex, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's actually... And it's not like the track editor that's for Unleashed and Supercross Encore. It's a completely different kind of track editor, and I almost think it's kind of like community-made track editor. It's not from the developer on the PC version of Reflex. I could be completely wrong, but I think that's the case. So if they would go in there and actually put this kind of track editor that's in this game and in Unleashed for Reflex, and have the Steam Workshop custom tracks and all that for Reflex, so you didn't have to go through Reflex Central or Dark Slide shit or any of that. You could just go to the Steam Workshop and everything just worked. Hello? Why have we not done that yet? MX versus ATV? Come on now, Doug. You do that and I'll start making Reflex tracks. Like, shit. That's one of the biggest reasons why I've never even dabbled with the Reflex track editor, is because it just always seems so weird and complicated and Photoshop based. I can't stand Photoshop track editors. I pretty much have to have some sort of a top-down view or something, kind of not just going off of I don't know what they call that, but it's kind of Photoshop shading type things that you use to create actual terrain. I don't like that kind of a track editor at all. I like where you're actually somewhat seeing what you're building terrain-wise, and you're actually seeing it real time whenever you actually build it, whenever you're actually, manipulating the terrain. I like to be able to see that real time, and you can see that with the Unleashed track editor and in the Supercross Encore track editor, if I'm not mistaken. I've not actually looked at the Encore track editor yet, but from what I've seen of the pictures of it, it looks pretty much identical to the Unleashed one, and if that's the case, then it is like that, where you can see, kind of see it in real time in a way. So that's kind of track editors I like to use. That's how MX Simulator is, right? So, but yeah, either way, they definitely need to get on that for Reflex for sure. But yeah, what is there to say? Come on. Oh my God, I thought I was going to save that for a second. Hell no. Hell no to the no. Oh my God, ruts. He's got a little water and these little rut skis right here. So, yeah, pretty solid, all-around track design. Lots of roughness, lots of pre-made, you can get cross-rutted. Exhibit A. Big old berms on the outside of some of these jumps. He's got a few humongous jumps that I've still not been able to clear all the way, so there's definitely some jump fun factor action going on here. And, yeah, I think I need a 450 or something. Something's not getting enough speed for this shit because I'm seat bouncing this perfectly. It's been a while since I put some time into, like, MX vs. ATV Supercross or Supercross Encore, so definitely going to take me a little while to get my shit figured out again on these games. But yeah, look at all that like pre-made roughness going up the jump faces and kind of kicker vibe. Literally nothing on this track is like perfectly smooth at all. Not a single part on it is perfectly smooth. So it gives you the feeling like it's a very, very realistic kind of track in that sense. I guess this right here, I say there's not a perfectly smooth spot. I guess that one's a little more on the flatter side, but it's not like glass flat either. I don't know. That may be just the decal he's using or some shit. I don't know, but it doesn't. You know how sometimes reflex tracks can have those absolutely glass to the ass flat sections on them, and they just completely loses the immersion of the track. You know, it completely loses the realism of the track. This doesn't have any of that on it. Every single part of it has at least a little divot, a little bit of changing terrain, a little bit of something going on. So, God, some of these, I don't know what it is about this game, but when you're going up like a super steep jump face, it's like the bike does not want to stay straight. Why does it do that? And I've seen the AI, it does it to the AI in the game too. Like they try to go up a jump face and the bike's just like squirrely all over the place, you know? I don't know like what it's doing. Why it like automatically tries to turn your steering whenever you're going up a steep jump face. Not really sure why it does that per se, but all right, dudes, we're about to try to get some extra speed up to this jump. Let's see how we're going to do it. We're on free ride here, so let's see. If I come in from over here, just maybe, I just cannot pick up any speed. Maybe you're not meant to jump that all the way. I don't know. I do not know on that. Oh my God, these look at these whips of this game, dude. It cracks me up. It just cracks me up like how backwards they went with the whole whip system from what it was in Reflex to what it ended up being like in MX vs. ATV Supercross and MX vs. ATV Supercross Encore. It is a absolutely disgraceful whip system, like beyond disgraceful, like terrible. Like, let me get to another jump here and kind of show you. Let me get over there to those bigger jumps again. We'll take a little off-track excursion. Don't pop off, Spencer. Woo! Got the legs. Okay. Okay. Come back over here. Let me just show you what, like, trying to whip the maximum that you can possibly try to do in the game. Let me just show you what it looks like real quick. That's it, dog. Like the physics won't even allow you to actually rotate the bike properly. It's so stupid. It's so bad. Like, it's actually laughable. Some of you dudes that defend MX vs. ATV Supercross and MX vs. ATV Supercross Encore's like air physics and whip physics, you are absolutely clueless. I hate to break it to you, but you have no idea what real whip systems are to motocross games if you think this is even remotely like acceptable in a, you know, modern day motocross game. This is piss poor, dog, when it comes to that. It's pitiful. But a lot of people, it's funny how they just so quickly forget about that because it, you know, somewhat resembles the feeling of Alive a little bit, you know, and I feel like a lot of dudes, that was their kind of first big motocross game they got into. So any game that even remotely feels like Alive, they're going to, you know, kind of have this little connection to it or this little attachment to it. I feel like that's why you got some of these dudes that act like, you know, MX vs. ATV Supercross and Supercross Encore were just like really good games and there was nothing wrong with them. And, you know, what are you talking about, Spence? Like, you know, I feel like that's kind of where that comes from, but either way, holy willy. Yeah, it's just so restrictive, like way too restrictive in the air. Way, way, way too restrictive. And you saw how the company learned their mistake with them making all-outs whip system like one of the most free whip systems we've ever had, almost to the point of being too free in a way, you know? Look at that. Like, you can't even... It's just such a restricted whip system, dude. It's so bad. And that's such a big thing that you do in these motocross and supercross games. You can sit here and talk about, oh, you know, why are you so worried about the whips and all that all you want to, but dog, I mean, that's a big part of how you jump the jumps, how you go through the air, how you scrub over the jumps. It becomes a very big aspect to the game, especially, you know, long term in the game. Like it becomes a lot bigger of a deal to have at least a decent whip system in there and scrub system, because it affects how you steer over all the jumps and how it affects the entire air physics of the game. So, but either way, yeah, not a bad track, man. A lot of different jump designs, a lot of different, you know, 4 or 5 ruts in corners. Got some jump skill gap for as much as you can have that in MX vs. ATV Supercross. It is standard woodland, but it is a whole cool area out through here where you kind of got like a big-ass lake. You know, you got a lot of trees. It definitely feels like you're in a real place, or like this track feels like it could have just been in the game from the beginning, like default made by the developer. I mean, it literally feels like that. So it's on that caliber for sure. I'm going to give it since I don't really know these tracks in these games, I'm just going to give it like a, I don't even know, because it's the first track I've ever seen. I'm going to just not rate this one, just for the fact of it is the very first track review, so I just don't even know, like, what to compare it to. I don't know. I mean, you can kind of compare it to some of the stock tracks in the game, but not really, because it's a custom track, you know, it's a completely different kind of thing. But, so, I'm not going to actually rate this one. If I did, I'd give it like a, I don't know, somewhere between like an 8 or a 9 or something like that. I don't know. But the difficulty, you're probably looking at like medium, because there are some big-ass ruts, quite a bit of roughness, some bigger jumps, some jumps that feel like you have to have a 450 to clear all the way. So, yeah, definitely some difficulty here, but it's not like insanity either. There's a lot of these sections where it kind of mellows off a little bit, kind of turns into more of a local vibe, amateur-y track, kind of sort of, in some places. But he's got a lot of cool little rut spots where the ruts go into other ruts, and tons of where you kind of land in ruts, go down in other ruts, and it just kind of ruts flowing all over the place. So, it definitely adds some variation to the on-track for sure, but, either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.